Hi there, I'm Jenn Cassetta, your Chief Badassery Officer. If you're feeling drained, hesitant, stuck in self-doubt, or you just have a case of the vlogs, the Art of Badassery podcast is here to help you unleash your mojo once and for all. We'll provide you with tips, techniques, and real-life examples of how you can kick ass in all areas of your life. You'll learn how to flex your mental muscles, rise above fears, and turn setbacks into superpowers. So let's enter the dojo and let's get to work. Welcome everyone to the Art of Badassery podcast. I'm Jenn Cassetta, your Chief Badassery Officer. And today I have a very, very special guest for you. Someone I'm so excited to interview, to have a chat with. Her name is Jenna Wolfe. And Jenna Wolfe is a journalist, a keynote speaker, an author, a fitness expert, and you may recognize Jenna from her decade-long stint on NBC's Today Show as the lifestyle and fitness correspondent. Welcome, Jenna.
Thank you. With an intro like that, nothing else I say is even close. That was wonderful. I'm very excited and happy to be here. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you here. I have to share with everyone that as a New Yorker, the Today Show was like, I watched it every single day. I was obsessed with the Today Show. And you pretty much had my dream job while I was a personal trainer in the city, running, getting up early in the morning, getting in the subway, getting to my clients. Then I would go home for little breaks and watch usually the fourth hour.
Yeah.
So I had the privilege of being on the fourth hour with Hoda, and it was supposed to be Kathy Lee, but she was out that day. So it was actually Carrie Fisher. And
I got that.
I know. I got to teach Princess Leia self-defense while wearing stilettos.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's a great show. It's been around forever. It is a fixture in everyone's home. We all grew up with the Today Show, various iterations of it. So I am blessed and honored to have been within the one of the chapters of what is a wonderful story. So, and I got to do so many amazing things. It was like, pick something you're afraid of, pick something that scares you, pick something that would be exciting and fun, and also work out and also train other people. I was like, and you're going to pay me? It was really a lovely opportunity. So I had a lot of fun doing that.
It sounds like it. And based on your brand new website, which is gorgeous, by the way. And that's how I was introduced to Jenna through a mutual friend, Alicia Birch of Square Root Creative, who created your beautiful website. Alicia, it's gorgeous. Check out jennawolfe.com.
Yeah. I'm going. Thank you. I think I'll do that. I'll go all the way to it.
So on there, I saw that you rode in a space simulator with Richard Branson. I mean, I'm sure you've done such crazy things in your career. What are some of the top highlights?
I get asked that a lot. Or what was the craziest thing, or the most fun? Or I did everything. I really don't. When you're on a show for 9-10 years and you have to fill 4 hours of programming every morning. And, it was every fast water slide. It was every, go swimming with sharks and jump out of an airplane and ride in the blimp. And then we did, I went on the jetpack, and then I did an air jetpack. I flew with the Blue Angels. I mean, I went racing with Mario Andretti. I went to space camp with Richard Branson. And that just scratches the surface. I can't even think about. And then I did really weird things. Like they sent me to a mermaid show in Tampa, where I had to learn how to breathe through a little tiny straw and put on this big coconut mermaid outfit and swim underneath for an actual show. I was in Cirque du Soleil. I was on Broadway. I was in Law and Order. It was like life's playground that was just laid out in front of me. And they're like, pick one fun thing you want to do today. So it was wonderful. It was just an absolute dream job. And I had a blast doing it. Do something like that where it was entertaining, but also storytelling at the same time.
Right. And did you ever wake up and say how is this my life? Or go to bed that way?
I mean, I'd love to be like, yes, I did. And I would keep pinching myself. But, sometimes when you're in the moment, you fail to acknowledge the moment. And you're always thinking about the what's next, or how can I, and when do I, if I should. And it was perfect time for me to be at the Today Show. I traveled every week. I was on an airplane, once, twice, sometimes 3 times a week. I didn't have a family to, have responsibility for. And I was just meeting people and enjoying it. And I just figured this is what life must be like, you know, and you don't
Right.
appreciate it until you're in the next chapter and you have like two little kids that are just hanging off you at all times. And I love those kids. And you're like, oh, I pined for the days of being able to just get up and go and not have to worry about anything. But in hindsight now, I can appreciate very much that I did take full advantage of I take advantage of the times that I'm in by enjoying it. It's very hard to gain perspective until you are out of a situation. But I had a really good time. So I loved it.
Makes perfect sense. Jenna, let's rewind. How did, tell us a little bit about your journey, just how you got to where you got. I love hearing, I heard you were born in Jamaica.
I was born in Jamaica. My dad had a leather manufacturing company in Jamaica. My brother and I were both born down there. And then the
Hold on. Someone told me you lived near Bob Marley. Is that true?
I lived across the street from Bob Marley. People are like, oh, I lived across the street. It was like 9 streets down. If you walk out, literally took 2 steps out of our complex, like Bob Marley's house was right there. But he wasn't Bob Marley at the time. He was just this crudgety guy who was smoking pot all the time. And there was smoke and everybody was yelling at him to like turn his music down. And that guy became Bob Marley.
Wow. That's
right
crazy.
So 5 years in Jamaica, and then my dad moved the factory to Haiti. There was a lot of political strife in Jamaica at the time. Haiti at the time, believe it or not, was stable. So we moved to Haiti and I was there for 10, 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Again, people ask all the time, oh, did you love living in the Caribbean? I didn't love living in the Caribbean until I no longer lived in the Caribbean.
That's all you knew.
To the United States. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I loved living in the, so you get perspective out of a situation. Moved to the United States, was always theatrical. I was always athletic. I was always, verbally flamboyant. I loved words. I loved playing with words. I loved telling stories, true or otherwise. And there was some sort of theatrical storytelling component to whatever I ended up doing. I was lucky. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to be on television, and I felt like a reporter was the most reputable of the various arts. So I graduated from college and there was no news reporter openings for me, but they had a sports reporter opening. And I was savvy enough to know that an in is an in, regardless if it doesn't fit the exact mold. If I could shove the shape in there, then I can get in there and I can stretch out and be Jenna. So I took that job and I would come at work every day and I would figure out what I was doing and I would go home and study for the job. And then I would come do the job, then go study for the job and do the job. You do what you have to do. You do what you have to survive and to thrive and to be the best, because it would have been easy to mail it in, but it wasn't going to be my last stop. It was my first stop. I worked really hard. I ended up really enjoying sports. So I became a sportscaster for 13 years.
Wow.
Rochester and Philadelphia, and then here in New York City for a long time until I got out of sports for 13 years. I went to the Today Show for 9 years, and then I went back to sports for 5 years. And then I added it all up and it was like older than how old I was. I was like, everybody just slow down. I did the math wrong. And here I am. So I've done a lot of news and a lot of sports. I've only really done one thing. If I wasn't on television or training, I'd be homeless somewhere. So that was my, I fulfilled it.
So, somehow in all of that, you became a fitness expert. I mean, a personal trainer. And how did you go from sports to fitness expert? Correspondent.
I had 2 aha moments with my fitness. One was in college playing volleyball. They made us, it was very early on, and they had some semblance of a mandatory weight training program, which I thought was nonsense because I was so athletic. And even though I'm, 5'5", if that, I jump all over the place. I was able to play full rotation. Volleyball was my thing. And I was like, this is just going to get in the way of my pure athleticism. But, there was a moment where I realized that I was able to really, really have some power in a swing. And that was generated not from my pure athleticism. I'm air quoting it because I had none, but it was from the training. And I correlated the work you put in and building muscle with how that muscle could be used, in a practical sense. So that was the first one. And then I used to work out, but I didn't know what I was doing. And a friend of mine wanted me to help her get her ready for her wedding. My friend Marnie. I didn't know what I was doing, but I said, why don't you just come do the things I'm doing for the next month and see how you do? And she did everything I did for a month. And she lost a bunch of weight and looked incredible. And I fell in love with this transformation process. I fell in love with the fact that we have control over nothing in our lives. Not the weather, not the traffic, not how your kids are going to react, not how your folks are going to react, not what your boss is going to say the next day. I don't know if my Wi-Fi is going to cut out right now. No control.
Right.
The only thing we have control over is this vessel that we walk around in, is our body. And we could do anything we want with it, right? Anything. You want bigger biceps? You can have bigger biceps. It'll take work, but you can do it. You want abs? No problem. Yeah, you have to put work in, but it is the only guarantee in life. And so that was that transformation process I absolutely love. I love working with someone and explaining to them that you get one shot at all this. Like, you're born into this world, just you. It's just you. And the way you treat it, and the way you take care of it, and the way you work it, and the energy you put into it is exactly what you're going to get out of it. Like, if you want to mess it all out and throw a bunch of shit in it, I hate to tell you, but that's how and you're going to be like, well, how did I get this way? You know exactly how you got that way. You did it. You turned your back on yourself. You got this way. And now you have to do so much more work to get back in. So it is consistent, sustainable lifestyle for me, because honestly, I hate starting over. I hate starting from scratch. I know we'll talk about it, but that's what this whole last year has been for me, because I did go through so many surgeries. It was a lot of starting from scratch. And I sympathize with people that have not taken the time to make sure this was a part of their lifestyle, starting later in life, starting any point in life from ground zero, from zero is really, really difficult, challenging.
I love that concept. And I'm just going to throw this out there. When I was deep into my martial arts training in New York, one of my mentors and black belt instructors at the time, Lena, she had this concept of miles in the bank. And it was like, she was like super, super fit, always, fierce, very strong in her body. And I always looked up to her for that. But she always said, like, it's what you do now will still affect you, like, and not just one day, but like the habits you build now, the miles you put in now are going to affect you 10 years from now. So I almost feel like you're never starting from zero, right? You already have built some of that, whether it be cardio fitness, some muscle, like, I guess unless someone has like a complete like knockout and, it's been years that you can't work out or anything, but it's another way to think about it. Just like putting miles in the bank. So anyone out there kind of struggling to start or to commit to themselves, just think about it. I like to future pace and think of yourself 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Do you want to be more able-bodied? Do you want to be more able to take care of your kids or whatever that is? Just think of the future and put in the miles now.
It's a great concept. Right.
Yeah. It definitely helped me. Let's go. I love your very, very intense energy. I would want you to be my person, my instructor, my trainer. Yeah, I like it.
I will train you if you teach me how to defend myself should I meet with trouble on the street one day, okay?
I'm surprised that was never one of your segments, self-defense.
Yes. I'll send it to you. It was very funny.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, I approached everything with a sense of humor, because my brother's a doctor. So I figure if I'm not, performing brain surgery, everything should be light and easy. And we're all trying to just get along in this world. Yep. So I did have a martial arts. I did a number of them, but one of them was the self-defense class. And of course I did it to the a la Karate Kid from the 80s with the whole like rock show and the whole like sweep the leg. Like you probably don't know it because you're like 12 and I'm 112. But
we're 3 years different, by the way.
No, we're not. You are?
Yes.
Get out of here.
Yeah, you turned 50.
I just turned 50.
Congratulations. I'm 47.
Congratulations. You look wonderful.
Thank you. So, miles in the bank, baby.
Yeah, you go, miles in the bank. So, no, I haven't done enough, and I should. And it's one thing I've always wanted to do.
It's funny. Anytime I've been on a TV segment, Today's Show, not Good Morning America, because that was more commentary on a terrible thing that happened. So that was very serious. But Marie Osmond, all these other shows I was on, it kind of always was this joking thing, right? I was doing the moves, but the host kind of made it into a funny thing.
Right.
Which, like, I get, because you want people to enjoy it and remember it. But also, yeah, it's like life-saving techniques here we're talking. So.
No, you're 100% right.
Yeah. Next time next time I'm in New York, we'll do that for sure.
Done.
Okay.
Done. You up on it.
Good. So this is the point in the podcast where I always like to remind people why I curate this amazing badass list of guests for the podcast because they're black belts in badassery. And to me, a black belt in badassery is someone who has, achieved awesome things, but also gone through their share of challenges, struggles, dramas, traumas, all the things, and now shares their story to help others rise. So I know, just from reading your story and hearing you and seeing you on the Tamron Hall show, share your story. You've been through it the last few years. Can you share with everyone here what's been going on?
Sure, I can because, while it's not a plan set in stone, I have some semblance of a plan that I'm getting out. I'm moving forward. And I think as long as every day you are just trying to at least put one step in front of the other, you're in a better place than you were yesterday. Like the goal is not to complain and to woe is me and to I don't need anyone's pity. What I want is for someone to say, you did that, you got through that. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I can do something similar. But right before the pandemic hit, my mom was diagnosed with stage 3 breast and lymph node cancer. It was really bad. It was especially bad because we couldn't see her. We couldn't be with her. My dad took care of everything. And they're not young. They're in their 70s.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of this, she's very sick and she's alone and she's just with my dad. And we can't be there and help and everything. And while that was going on, my wife and I were going through a little bit of separation and we had 2 little kids. And as soon as that was just at the tail end of her doing her last round of chemo, she tested positive for the BRCA cancer gene. So I had a 50-50 chance of getting it. And this is why I'm not a gambler, because I'm never great at these things. And of course, I tested positive for BRCA, which means the BRCA is a cancer gene mutation, which means in layman terms, my chances of getting breast cancer are substantial. So it varies depending on your family history and who you are. And they run numbers and they show you. And when I sat down with the breast surgeon at Sloan Kettering, she said, here's the deal. You basically you're walking around with a 46% chance of getting breast cancer. That is 1 in 2. It was like a 50-50 chance that I was going to get breast cancer at some point. She was almost surprised that I hadn't had it. My mom had it. I had tested positive. All the signs were there. And then obviously I also ran the risk of a very high risk of getting ovarian cancer as well. Wow. So they put these 2 options on the table and they said, here are your options. You can check yourself every 6 months. You can go in for an MRI and whatnot we can't test to see if you have ovarian. There's no signs or symptoms for ovarian cancer, but breast cancer, we can test every month. But in between, you're going to worry and you're going to wonder, or you can go ahead and have a prophylactic double mastectomy. Wow. So the kind of cancer my mom had was so severe, it was called triple negative cancer, which meant if I was diagnosed with cancer, I would have to start chemo right away. Mm-hmm. And there was just too much on the table. But I wanted to have autonomy over my own destiny. There are so few things in life that we can, remember we talk about controlling? So this to me felt like a cheat code. Like someone's going to tell me that I have a good chance of getting cancer. I will do whatever it takes. How lucky am I that of all the medical technology we have, I happen to come across the one that is going to help me decide if there's something I can do.
Wow.
So I said, okay. So they're like, well, we'll put you in touch with the counseling of this. I said, I don't need any of that. I made my decision in this meeting. I'm going to do it.
Wow.
Well, then I said, you don't need to hem and haw. My decision is made. Let's go ahead and do it. I have been blessed by the grace of God, have not having gotten breast cancer. My mom just had it. I saw what she went through from afar. And
is your mom okay now?
My mom is okay. Thank you very much for asking.
Good.
That woman is amazing. She's just an amazing strength. So we did it. I scheduled a hysterectomy and then I scheduled a double mastectomy within 3 weeks of each other. And
what?
It was very close, but when I want to do something, I want to do it yesterday. No matter what it is. I don't like to sit with a to-do list. I like to sit with an empty list that's just called to do. But it's been a really rough couple of years. I'm not going to lie. I had some complications after the hysterectomy and not bad complications, but messy, a couple more trips back and forth. And it culminated in like a trip to the ER in the middle of the night with a whole bunch of things they had to, it was like a stitch. It was, I'll spare all of it. But it was 2 a.m. when I finally left the hospital and my pre-op for the next surgery was 9 a.m. the next morning. And everyone's like, well, let's figure out a time to schedule. I was like, I don't think you understand. no matter what, I'm going to be there at 9 a.m. for that pre-op. And
Wow.
I did it. And I mean, I got all the okays from the doctors. I just wanted to have this all, had that operation as well. And I had some complications with the mastectomy as well. It was a lot.
Wow.
I know everything now is wonderful and fine, but goes to the point of there is no correlation between how good of a shape you're in and how your will be, how good your body's going to heal from some trauma and how much you've prepared for. Because I wouldn't have been in better shape going into this.
Right.
The hysterectomy, it just was a fluke. There was something. The mastectomy, there was a little area where I wasn't getting enough oxygen. And so I had to go into this oxygen tank for a bunch of days. And no one's fault. It's just, that's my body. And my body was like, yes, 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 meh, yes, yes, meh. So I did a full hysterectomy. I did the bilateral mastectomy and then I had a reconstruction. So it was 3, major surgeries, a whole bunch of tricks and extra little things I had to fix and whatnot. And every time you do this, I'm out of commission. I am laid down. I am not able to move. I'm not able to get my heart rate up. And that's very hard for me because that to me that's my breathing. That's so corny, but it is. I am not whole if I am not able to move and squeeze and flex and do all of it. And so that's why the whole year was just a matter of, I got the green light. I went for a walk. I went for maybe I did a bike ride. Maybe I lifted 5 pounds, then went for my next surgery and we start all over again and all over again.
Wow.
And it is hard. It is hard. Day one of anything is hard. Day one after I had the babies, getting back into the gym, I was like, man, I gained all this weight. And in my head, I was going to lose, gained it all. And I was like, I'll lose it all in one day. No, I didn't get all one day. The surgery was a long time coming. You're not going to get all in one day.
Right.
The beautiful thing about day one is that it's only one day, right? Because then when day is done, day 2, and then day 3, but that's all easier than day 1.
Yeah.
So day only lasts one day. So go and do it and just put it behind you and then get ready for day 2. And there's this little breath of fresh air, this tiny little bit of light that comes with having already done the first day. And I had to just hold on to that throughout the year and hold on to this hope that I would one day get back to who I was and where I was and why I was. We talk about identity. But between my mom and the separation and the surgeries and, I'm not working and it felt very, very overwhelming. And I was still had to show up every morning for my children because I'm the strongest woman they know. And I show up every day because my friends think I'm very funny. And so I had to find it. I had to reach it down inside to be funny. I mean, and it was just a lot on my plate.
It's definitely a lot. And you are a superhero. A couple of things I just want to point out. Obviously, we're not giving medical advice here on this podcast to anyone. You to jump into, to decide so quickly on this elective surgery. I can't imagine because I had to do an elective surgery. I had a hip replacement. And I hemmed and hawed and waited as long as I possibly could because surgery scares me. I'm so fearful of it. Obviously not anymore since I'm now on the other side of it. So what is it about you and your mindset that you were just able to make that decision in the moment?
Because I know I was going to do it eventually. You knew you were going to do your surgery eventually, And so why sit with the apprehension? That to me is worse than doing it and sitting with healing, than facing fear, right? Staring it down and owning the fear and then dealing with it afterwards. A lot of people go, I don't know how to make a decision. I'm so nervous. I don't know if I want to have kids. I don't know if I want to take the job. So yes, everything is a choice. So make a choice and then deal with it, whatever it is. If you go either way, then just pick one and deal with it. You had a choice whether you were going to have a hip surgery or not. Make the choice. I'm not going to have it. Okay. Now don't worry about, should I have, or when am I going? Just make the choice. And now everything about your life is about the decision you made. So that's how I sort of felt about this. I was going to do it eventually, but if I didn't, every single day I'd be thinking about it. Should I do it? I didn't do it. I wonder if it was a good idea. Am I going to do it? Should I talk to people about doing it? Have you thought about doing it? It's too much space. It's wasting real estate in my head and in my heart. And believe me, there are plenty of places that I could put that anxiety. It didn't have to go to this.
Right.
So this is the kind of thing. Same thing with having kids. I didn't grow up like with $1,000 being like, I'm always going to be a mom and like a mom and everything was mom. But I was 38 years old. And I said, if I may want kids later, I have two options. I have now or it's too late. So make a decision and stick with it. My decision was I'm going to have kids. If my decision was I'm not going to have kids, I will never resent myself for making that. But my whole life better be now. You're not having kids. Now let's move forward with not having it. You're going to have a kid. We'll take the not having a kid off the table. And now you're going to live with this. We spend so much time and wasted energy on should I, would I, could I, if I, this one, the pros, the cons. Make a decision. Boom. Now you move forward and look how much you can free up all that space in your head and heart.
Jenna, I mean, this is super impressive. The other thing that you said that I just want to dive into a little bit was the day one and what I learned on my healing journey. I mean, I remember when you said day one, I was like right back in the hospital, standing up. They made me like walk hours after the surgery on this brand new hip, And then by day 2, I was like climbing stairs in my home. It was amazing. And I also learned that healing is not just a linear journey straight up. There were definitely times, and you already pointed those out, where either complications or just like dips in that journey happen. And I think that's where people get discouraged and may start to doubt their decisions. What can you share for those lower times on your healing journey for others?
We all know what life is. Life is, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It isn't linear. There's no getting from A to B without hitting a couple of potholes and taking a couple of detours. If you think that everything, when you're young, you have this like idealistic view of life. Like I will grow up and I will have a job and I will get married and I will have kids and I will, drift off into the sunset and yada, yada. But the older you get, the more you realize how many detours you actually have to take to get to where you want to go, how hard it is to do that thing that you were able to just say in a carefree sentence when you were younger.
Detours. I like that.
The beautiful thing about a bad day, the beautiful thing, life is peaks and valleys. And the best thing about the valley is what's on the other side. It's a peak. And no one goes, oh, I've had, life is valley and valley and valley. That's not even an expression. It's peaks and valleys. But like, I would rather have the peaks and valleys than this. This is dead. I'm dead. I don't feel anything. I don't hunger for anything. I don't thirst for anything. Like it's nothing. Like you go from birth to death and what happened to you? Nothing. You stayed in the same place. You did the same thing, met the same people. You felt the same thing.
Right.
So yes, you're going to have some bad days, but all that means is that when a good day comes, boom, you appreciate that day. I had some really shitty days. And you know what I learned from those shitty days? That whereas before, if I had a decent day, it was just a day. Now, when I have a decent day, I hold on to that. Today was a good day. Even if it's something small. Like I woke up this morning, I'm still not working and I still have this to do and 1,000 other things. And I miss my kids. They're at overnight camp but I woke up this morning and I was happy. I can't even remember why, but something small, really small happened. And I was really happy about it. And for a split second, I was like, oh, don't be happy about that. You have all this to worry about. And I said, no, Mom, be happy about that one thing.
Yeah.
You got to, because every valley is going to lead to a peak. The bad days are what allows you to appreciate the good days. Without the bad, you wouldn't even know what good was. So take it. Let yourself feel. Let yourself cry. Let yourself get angry. Like have the big feelings. It's totally okay. That's what I learned. It's okay to have those big feelings. Like we're not isn't linear. And if you go from A to B in one shot, okay, I'll meet you there because I'm going to go live some life. And I'll see you there and I will have perspective with all my little, all the little turns and twists that I had to go through.
Yep. I love that. Chapter 1 of my book is called Embrace the Suck. And I think that summed it up perfectly. You just got to feel the feelings, let them go. And when you do, you actually get to process them and they don't get stuck. Yeah. Too many of us, when we're just trying to like stuff that and keep going and not feel them, they wind up coming out some other bad way later on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Awesome. And the last thing I want to talk about, just as far as your healing journey and all of this, is identity, right? I know from watching my dad, who was the healthiest person I knew, who took care of himself the best and healthiest way out of literally anyone I know in real time, right? working out, meditation, all the things, holistically, nutrition, all of it, and wound up, getting prostate cancer. And then quickly after passing away from it, I had to process that because I was like, I was having an identity crisis almost for him. So when you identify with being such a fit and healthy person, when you get, that those results back, say that you were tested positive for the BRCA1 gene, what was that like for you? I mean, did you have like any identity crisis moments?
And perhaps wrongfully so. As you're asking me this question, I'm associating your question, if I had an identity sort of crisis, if you will, with a little self-pity, like, oh, well, now I'm
why me? Poor me. Why me?
This is who I am. Like, this always happens. Like, why do I have to go through this?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have that. And this is just me, but when big things happen, I am very focused on compartmentalizing the feelings associated with it, with the thing that's happening. Like, I tell this story, and by the way, I mean, my shoelace can come undone. I'll be like, look what happened to my shoe. But the big things I'm okay with. So I was on vacation when I was in high school with my brother, who's 3 years younger, and my parents. And my dad says, let's take out a sailboat, the three of us, and we'll go. And I was like, Dad, none of us know how to. No one knows how to. It's like, how hard could it be to sailboat? Cut next scene. We hit this thing of wind and we're going in a circle, and the boat's going over. I mean, it's a little sailboat. And I was like, We're all going. So thing topples over. And while my brother and my dad are like, drama classes are on Saturday, they're like, oh my God. It didn't dawn on me to have any emotion other than dive underwater. This was in the sea. It was in the Caribbean. Open my eyes, grab my dad's wallet, grab my dad's shoes because I felt like he would need it. Come up, put them in one hand, and get my dad up.
Oh my God.
Onto the boat. I don't know what made me think of it. I don't know how I did that first. And I was like, okay, you guys go back and I'll figure it out. Like, it happened. And I forgot all about that until the day they said you're BRCA positive. And I didn't for 1 second say, oh my God, now what? Like, what? How am I going to work? It was, tell me what my options are. Let's go. What? Because I'm going to have to get there eventually. So why am I going to waste any energy feeling sorry for myself, wondering if I'll ever get back to who I am? None of that helps. And I've had bad days. And when I have the bad days, I let myself feel a little sorry. But in those big moments, I don't have that identity crisis. In those big moments, I show up, I do what needs to be done, and I figure I'll have all the time in the world to have those feelings afterwards. So yes, maybe those feelings came in a little bit when I was sitting in an oxygen tank with drains coming out of my body, holding on to them while I still was trying to recover from the hysterectomy. I wasn't fully recovered yet, and I had to wear all the stuff, and I had blood. It was a mess. In 3 hours, I lay there. Like, yes, I'd be like, you know what? This really sucks. Like, it wasn't supposed to be this way. But in that moment, there was no, like, well, who am I? I'm the same person. I'm exactly. And your dad was the exact same person. And the reason that he was that strong badass before all this happened was because when he was met with big things in life, he said, okay, show me the fear. I'm going to stare that thing down. I'm going to own it. Once I own that, it's not my fear anymore. That's how you become that way. And so the next time something gigantic lands in your lap, think, well, I have two options right this second. I can deal with it, or I can like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Where do I deal with it? Yeah. You can have those melodramatic feelings later on down the road. Figure out a plan and deal with it.
I love that. And I just was watching one of my favorite speakers and authors, Dr. Joe Dispenza, yesterday, and he calls it not he calls it, but he was talking about the refractory period, right? The length of time that you allow yourself to bounce back from something. And I think you have a very short one, which is amazing. And he also said, if we can teach our kids anything, it would be how to shorten their refractory period around like disappointments and challenges and, that stuff. So thank you so, so much for sharing your story, your passion, your attitude, your superpowers. I'm just like overwhelmed. I need you like shrunken down in my pocket to carry around with me all the time.
I would love it.
Thank you. So before we wrap, I just want to ask you the 4 rapid fire questions that I ask everyone. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. No big deal. 1, what was your favorite food when you were a kid?
Pop-Tarts.
Nice. It's always junk food, by the way. Always.
Or-
Number 2, if you could have a drink with
Wait.
anyone.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Not strawberry Pop-Tarts. It just had the white frosting on top with the strawberry in the middle. I don't even like strawberry now. And that was the only one I liked. Remember, I lived in Haiti. So we got that maybe once a year. And it was like gold when it came down and it flew off the shelf in 1 second. So yeah, that's
Okay.
go on.
2, if you could have a drink with anyone, that person could be alive or dead, who would it be and what would be in your cup?
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Well, it would be a margarita. I love margaritas because I wouldn't worry about making it a skinny margarita or whether I would have it without sugar or whatever. I would go full, however you want it, bartender. Make me your best margarita.
Good.
Wow, what a great question. This is the kind of question where tonight at about 3 a.m. I'm going to scream the name of the person I should have said.
Yep.
I would say, I'm not going to, I don't know. I think it would be kind of nice to have a drink with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I feel like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I feel like I have so many questions for her about her story and what an unbelievable perspective she's had. I mean, it's like her, or I had Michael Jordan in mind. I had Michael J. Fox, I had Barbara Streisand. I'm all over the place, but I feel like I'm pretty sure she went to the school that my kids are going to now. And it's such an honor to have the kids having gone through there. So it would be an unbelievable experience. I don't think she would have a margarita though. In many ways, I feel like perhaps she would drink something different, but that's what I would.
That's okay. Awesome. A margarita with RBG.
I mean, right? No one's guessed that. Has anyone given you that one yet?
Someone brought her up. Yes.
With a
Someone did.
margarita though?
No.
Okay.
But I love it. What's your favorite personal growth development book?
I'm not big on, I have a really great trainer that I worked with when I was pregnant. His name was Joel Harper. And he taught me how to
On
connect.
The Biggest Loser. Wasn't he on The Biggest Loser?
No, that's Joel. Was that Joel Harper? No, mine was Joel Harper. And he taught me to connect my mind to my body, which I always felt like either I was going to think about something or it was going to be a physical approach or a mental approach. And I worked with him a lot on connecting the two and what an unbelievable experience it is when you're able to. And he wrote a book, which of course the name escapes me now, but I have it here, which I can grab when we're done. And there's a big part of, I learned a lot of that having gone through his book of being able to connect the two. We are being, and we like to separate everything. And I just want to hear you. I just want to see you. I just want to work. But if you can, it's an unbelievable experience when you can connect and tie everything together and make it one big movement. It really is such a phenomenal experience.
It's literally the goal of my entire keynote called The Art of Badassery when I speak to especially women's groups, getting them out of their seats, getting them moving and thinking at the same time. You become unstoppable. Love that. Okay. And then you'll have to get me that book name. And then last but not least is, what's your favorite hype song?
Viva La Vida by Coldplay.
Nice. Awesome.
I could work out for 3 straight hours just by listening to that.
I bet you have really good playlists. So
best playlist.
Yeah.
No, I'm not just saying that to be hyperbolic. I have the best playlist.
Share one with us and we'll put it in the show notes. Jenna, I want to thank you so, so much. Please tell everyone where they can find you and your brand new, beautiful website, where that is.
JennaWolfe.com. I know it was tough coming up with the name to that one, but we really struggled hard. JennaWolfe.com. And on social, I have fun on social. Instagram, mostly, which is where I like to put all the fun things I do. And,
Handle?
At Jenna Wolfe. Again, a tough one to come up with. Everything's at Jenna Wolfe. Twitter, or the whole bit. Everything. Facebook, the whole bit. So I got very lucky.
Okay.
I named that Jenna Wolfe. So
wonderful. Well, everyone, first of all, Jenna, thank you so much again. And everyone listening, we always want to hear, how this affects you. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Please leave us a message either on at Jenna Wolfe or at Jenn Cassetta and let us know if you have any questions and how this fueled you for whatever it is you're going through. Thanks so much for listening. We love you. Bye.